I forgot to take us off mute. So, hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. I just want to say welcome, everybody. And for tonight's podcast, I actually have
Charlie.
Charlie with
Hi.
me. It's okay. And we're actually going to be doing some movie news tonight. I hope that everybody enjoys what we actually have to offer. We have some movie news like Christopher Nolan is actually parting ways with WB over the HBOMAX plans to actually release all theatrical movies onto HBO Max and also to release them into theaters at the same time. Then we also have some Morbius news that movie actually got pushed back. Then we also have some Uncharted news as well with the movies that just got pushed back as well. So, without further ado, let's go on ahead and get on with the show. So, what topic do you want to talk about first?
Let's go and discuss the Sony news. This episode, pretty much all the movie news that came out this week has been essentially not uplifting. It's been a downer. We're starting over 2020 again with all the movies getting delayed. So Sony on that day announced that they're pushing back the release dates for Ghostbusters Afterlife, Uncharted, Cinderella, and Peter Rabbit 2. And so with no streaming service of their own to utilize on the heels of selling Lord/Miller's The Mitchells versus the Machines to Netflix, Sony has elected to push back the releases of Ghostbusters Afterlife, Uncharted, Cinderella, and Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, according to Deadline. The latest installment in the Dan Aykroyd Harold Ramis created franchise will move from its June date to November 11th, where it stands alone, while the live-action hybrid family sequel will hit theaters in Ghostbusters Place, which is the Peter Rabbit, leaving its Easter weekend a date alongside MGM's No Time to Die. That one got pushed too. We'll cover that. The Camilo Cabello fronted musical comedy fairy tale adaptation is shifting from February to July 16th, where it'll go up against Space Jam: A New Legacy. And the Tom Holland-led adaptation of the beloved Naughty Dogs franchise is seeing the biggest delay as it moves from July this year to February of 2022. Oy vey.
I just feel bad for Uncharted. You know, that movie has been a damn nightmare. Like you said, between directors leaving, writers leaving, then also too, you also have more directors leaving. It's like, if you actually think about it, it's actually one of those bending doors. As one director's leaving, the other one's coming in. As one writer is leaving, the other one's coming in. So it's the same concept with this. I mean, I'm excited for this movie. I love the matter of fact, I talked about this with Frenchie and everything on the show a couple of days ago, where I said I like the pictures, I like what I saw, I like the fact that they're actually going with the pirates plot line and everything with the last Uncharted video game. I like that whole entire concept. I talked about that, and it just seems like when you think that this movie's going to be within reach, it gets yanked away. And I want this movie to actually happen. I want this movie to actually see the light of day. It's just that they keep pushing it back and keep pushing it back. It's like, how many more times are you going to keep pushing this back until we just are like, okay, there's an Uncharted movie. Nobody is wanting to see this now because the lack of excitement has actually reached its door. Because that's all we've been talking about for the last year and even now is when are we going to get the Uncharted movie?
Well, I mean, the fact is, it's filmed. It's filmed. It's just a matter of when they're releasing it. So we know we're going to get this movie. This one's has a better shot of happening than the Crow reboot has of happening.
Well, that got shut down altogether. The Crow reboot. And I'm glad that the Crow reboot got shut down.
I mean, I think I mean, it just blew my excitement early. I've been waiting for this movie for a long time. I'm excited for it. I think I love the video games. I mean, they're just fantastic games, and this movie's gonna be great. I'm just excited for it. I mean, this one, it wasn't its fault. It had to do with the outside elements. I mean, because I mean, there's a chance that stuff that comes out in May might end up getting delayed. Like, we're probably gonna get a Black Widow delay soon. We'll probably get anything coming out in May is not really safe because of what's going on in the world, and that's why I'm happy we got these streaming services that actually can show you the movie And it sucks we don't get the movie theater experience anymore right now because of the pandemic, but I'm happy that we can be able to calm our nerves and watch these movies, because at some point theaters will open back up. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if.
Right. It's all about a matter of if and when. I'm actually excited to maybe possibly get back to some normalcy to where I can actually go out and see a movie, shove some popcorn in my face, have a good time, watch Uncharted, watch Morbius, another movie that I've been wanting to see that got pushed back as well. And, it just goes to show that how much this pandemic has actually been taken away from us. And at the same time, we also get some great original content behind it. But it's just the big blockbusters, right? That's actually what we've been craving for, is the big blockbuster films that we normally get during the summertime. And like I said, every single time whenever it's actually within reach with us, they get taken away from us again. And I would like to actually see them maybe make a deal with maybe HBOMAX, Hulu, or something, to where we can actually get some kind of movie going. At least, have it played out in select theaters overseas, and then after that, have it on the streaming services, and then do like Wonder Woman 1984. Go down that route.
Which I want to let everybody know, if you've not seen it yet already, it will not be on HBO Max past Sunday. It's no longer on HBO Max after January 24th. So if you have not seen it, watch it soon, because it won't be on HBO Max for probably it's because it was only there for a short time. So that's just something to keep in mind. Anything that HBO Max is only in there for 30 days.
Which is actually fair, though, if you actually think about it. I like the fact that they're giving us some content from the movie theaters, and it's like, okay, for a limited time, you get to actually see X. And a matter of fact, the newest movie, The Little Things, with Denzel Washington and Rami Malek, is actually going to be released on the 30th, I believe, or somewhere around that area.
A week from today. It's a week from today.
So I'm actually excited to actually see the new Denzel Washington movie that's going to be released. And not only that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they actually they release this for limited theaters, just so they can get the Academy Award nominations going.
Yeah. Whatever theaters are open, which right now it's not many.
No.
Okay.
But I'm gonna die. Here's another thing though that I want to mention is the Morbius movie though, because you know me, I'm a huge advocate for Morbius. You know me, I'm a huge advocate for Morbius. Morbius is actually my favorite villain within the Spider-Man franchise. And I will love to see that, because I also like Jared Leto as an actor. I think he's a pretty good actor whenever he's actually given the right script, the right development, and stuff like that. And the directors actually know that they can get the best out of him. It's just that I feel bad that this movie is actually being on hold, because to me, this doesn't make sense. You're holding this movie back so it won't compete with the Die Another Day. Or what's the name of the James Bond movie?
No Time to Die.
It's going to be coming. No Time to Die. Which doesn't make any sense to me at all, why you would hold Morbius back. You can easily slide him into the November schedule for this year and be okay, because No Time to Die is actually coming out about in October. So it's perfect to actually slide him over there without any problem. But they want to put this thing back until next year. I'm like, why? There's no purpose in that, in my opinion, because I think that, you can still be safe. You can actually go on ahead, put him in a November slot, and have No Time to Die in October, and be perfectly fine. Because by then, No Time to Die has already made its money. It's already made its run. So therefore, you won't have to worry about it slamming Morbius up against the wall or anything like that.
So that was the next article I was about to mention, was about Morbius. So it says, following No Time to Die's most reviewed delay, they decided to follow suit and change the release date of this to originally scheduled for an October 8th, 2021 release date. This article has an error in it. It said it would have been out yesterday. because the article said it would have been out. It says been pushed back to next year and now set to hit theaters in January 21st, 2021. I think they meant 2022. Yeah. That's what the article said. But again, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking on this. Maybe since Bond is also technically it's part Sony, part Universal. It's distributed by Universal overseas, and this one I think Sony's probably got. And I think the October 8th is like right there. I mean, then again, we don't know what the pandemic's going to look like in October, so I guess they were trying to make it the safe bet. Yeah, it's a bummer that we're like 2021's already started out like 2020. They were delaying stuff like crazy, but I think they don't want to pull what happened with Warner Brothers, how they had 2 big blockbusters and then theater total not doing what they expected because at no fault of their own, the theaters were closed, so they couldn't really control the box office, which is unfortunate because I was hoping for Tenet to be a hit, and I still think it is. I mean, theater wise, but I mean, it just got the raw end of the stick.
It definitely did, if you actually think about it, though, with Tenet, because a movie like Tenet and have Christopher Nolan's name plastered on that poster and plastered onto the movie itself, it's guaranteed going to make millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. And that's why Warner Brothers loves working with him, because they know that he's a cash cow. They know that he brings in the crowd. But with this, they figured, even with the small amount of money that they made, that's actually pretty decent, but not the greatest numbers whenever you look at it because of the pandemic. But from a student standpoint, it's like, okay, well, we lost this X amount of money through the PR department and everything else. And even if you took a third of that away, they still lost money with it. But, at the same time, it's decent, but not enough to actually say this was a blockbuster smash hit. And then also, too, that I want to mention is the fact that, with Tenet and everything, too, like I mentioned, Christopher Nolan's a household name whenever it comes down to Warner Brothers. They're safe with him. They know what to expect from him.
Yeah.
And, I just feel bad that this movie didn't make as much. But you actually need to have the New York movie theaters open, and then you also need the California, which actually controls the marketplace. Those 2 are the biggest markets.
Yeah.
You have those 2. Right, exactly. So if you had those opened, and let's say, for example, that our theaters down here was closed, it would still make money because they are the ones who controls the market.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, it's a bummer, but I think it's making up for it in the home release sales. I think it made a lot of I don't know the exact numbers, but I just know people were wanting to see this. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Warner Brothers. I mean, the Warner Brothers took a hit with these 2. But let's just, like, in the scheme of things, pandemic happened. There is no, like, this is something nobody control. It's not like years ago when Disney came out with original ideas like John Carter and The Lone Ranger and Pete's Dragon, multi-million-dollar losses just from that movie alone with no extreme circumstances. There was no pandemic. That John Carter was a huge $200 million flop. And then you had, and then The Lone Ranger, another $200 million flop. And then it's like, and that was original ideas. And then that they keep producing those out, and there was no outstanding circumstance that did it. It's just for this to fail because of a pandemic. I mean, I just take Warner Bros. Should just take the loss with a grain of salt. I mean, you have a hit so far, and it's only been a couple months. You have a hit streaming service in HBOMAX, plus you get Warner Brothers to work with you to release movies in both formats. I mean, I think it's a win-win for HBOMAX.
I think so too. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, in the early 2000s, we already knew that, movies with DVD sales and stuff like that is actually how they actually make their bread and butter as well. So now with this pandemic, would you actually say that we're back in that same time frame in the early 2000s where people buying physical media, even digital media for that example as well? Would you say that they're actually doubling or tripling their money because of this pandemic, because of the if we're back at that kind of season again?
I'm not sure. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't remember much of what was going on around the 2000s. I was still pretty young by then.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Back in the 2000s, like if a movie failed, if it bombed, they're like, well, you know what? We can make it up on the next quarter by releasing these movies on DVD. People will actually go ahead and buy these movies on DVD and make up the difference. So my thing is this: with this pandemic going on, maybe this is the return of physical media sales. Maybe this is the return of, even with digital sales itself. Maybe this is a way to actually make up for that quarter loss that they actually that they lost money on with marketing everything in the for the theaters and stuff like that, and making up that difference.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I could see that. I mean, that's like I said, I was planning on buying Tenet. That Tenet was like, I didn't see the movie. I was gonna buy it already. Like this the gut feeling, I'm gonna enjoy this. So it was just gonna be one of those impulse buys, and I typically don't do that much for movies because I get a chance to see them. But for this, I'm like, absolutely, I was buying Tenet. So I could agree with that. I mean, look what happened with Trolls. How much money? Well, It made money, but I think everybody was like jumping on the high end of how much money they're like overestimating how much money they made, and they made a little bit less than they were expecting, but it still was a hit. That was all through digital, and I mean, I think it depends on how they do it. Like, I mean, if they do it, like if they release it to everybody, yeah, that's going to make money. But if you do the whole thing what Disney did with Mulan, you got to have Disney Plus, and you got to spend an additional $30, and you don't even keep the movie. You get to rent it, and you don't even keep the movie. I'm like my friend Sean, he was like, man, geez, if this was $30, I would just buy the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, and that means because I get to keep it.
Right, exactly.
And that's why I see HBOMAX like ahead of the game on that for what they're doing with Warner Brothers. They're releasing the movies out there that are already coming out, like in theaters that give you, but you don't have to pay extra to watch it. Yeah, it goes away in 30 days, but I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers will actually release these movies on Blu-ray and DVD at some point.
Right. But I also think too, right. I agree with you on that, wholeheartedly on that, man. Because here's another thing though too that I actually want to make a point on is this. They're like, oh, Christopher Nolan, I'm not going to go on ahead and go into that topic yet, but this is just a little nod to what we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. But, you know, I can understand directors being scared of this because it's something new, right? Yeah. And we're afraid of what's new rather than because we don't know what to expect from it. And because we don't know what we expect from it, it could be our worst fears. But if you do it a certain way, like they're doing right now, it can still make money. It can be still successful because here's the thing. Die-hard film fans that are fans of comic book-based movies will go on ahead, they'll go out, support the movie, and then come back and watch it on Max. And that's exactly what Anthony did from ACS. He went on ahead, went down to the movie theaters, came back, watched it on HBO Max. It could be the same way for any movie, though, if you think about it. Average movie-going audience might actually miss going into the movie theaters. It's like, you know what? I need to see this on the big screen. I need to actually see everything in its full detail, not on my 45-inch TV screen or 50-inch or 60-inch screen. I need to see this with everybody so I can actually have that movie-going experience. And then before you know it, that person goes out and sees this movie, and then maybe he's like, you know what? I had a good time in the theater. Let me see if I have that same experience in the theater that I had in at home now. So it could work on different angles.
Yeah. And also too is like if there's a theater not near you and everything's closed, you don't get that option to go to the theater. Like, I don't know, like in Maryland, all the theaters near me are closed, and I don't really feel safe to go travel all the way down there to go see a movie in theaters. I'm like, for some movies, like some of the stuff that Warner Bros. Got coming out, the little things, to be honest, I don't think it's going to be a big hit in theaters. That's why I think it fits the more HBO Max feel to it. I mean, I was hoping I wanted to go see it anyway because I love Denzel and he's just awesome. But just that type of movie, in a sense, I don't think is going to do as well in theaters at this point because it's not that big blockbuster, and that's why I think that's why it's going to help it. It's going to get that maybe word of mouth as people can watch it on HBO Max, and then they say if they liked it, they can watch it again or buy the movie in a sense. But some movies, like I said, I don't know what August is going to be. I mean, if I get my choice to see it in theaters, I'll see the Suicide Squad in theaters. But if I don't, I'll just watch an HBO Max. But the one movie I think that needs to be the theater experience, and I'm hoping everything's calm by then, is The Matrix 4. I mean, for that, The Matrix changed the game when it came to sci-fi action, and that one is a theater experience. And hopefully by December, because that is one movie I want to go see in theaters, because they're already, like, a couple of castmates already said this has changed the game again, and that they're like they like the two of them just look at each other like we're about to change something. And so honestly, that gets me intrigued already than I already am for that movie. But it works for some movies, doesn't work for others. So like they said, I think HBO Max again is in a win-win right now.
I could see that. Okay, so what do we have next?
All right. Since we were talking about we mentioned No Time to Die earlier. No Time to Die again seems to be keeps dying over again because it got delayed again to fall of 2021. So after being delayed from April 2020 last year to April 2021 this year, MGM decided that it's been delayed once again due to the current pandemic's effect on theater attendance. And the way things are going, I don't see theaters opening back up in April. So I think this is a good move. But anyway, it's been delayed again once again due to and it's just placed from the film in the fall of October 8th, 2021, which will compete directly with Sony's current Morbius, which has got delayed to next year. And then MGM's own The Addams Family's 2 is opening 1 week prior on October 1st. Along with Warner Brothers' epic Dune, the latter, which will be day and date in theaters and HBO Max. And yeah, to be honest, I'm a little bummed this got delayed, but I've been saying this since the pandemic. The longer this keeps getting delayed, the better the chance I get to go see this in the way it should be in the theaters. Right. So the longer they keep pushing it, the longer we get to see the theater experience, and this is something you need to hopefully be able to see in the theaters. Daniel Craig's last outing, and I think he's going out with a bang in this one. It looks awesome.
I think so too. Like, I mentioned this on the audio only version of the podcast with the trailer review that I've done. It looks fun. It looks like they brought that edge to Bond that we've been waiting for with all the other films that we had prior. And remember, that all those films are dark and everything too. So, if you remember, all those films were actually dark and everything. Now we actually have some lightness to it, though, in a sense. We actually have the car with the gun. We actually have certain things that we had from the other Bond films in this movie that actually brings out Bond. And then Daniel Craig on his last ride as Bond is what people has actually been waiting on. And I feel like with this situation, with this right now, like you said, the longer they wait, the bigger the crowd is. Number one, we've been waiting for a blockbuster film. We have that. We've been waiting for a major film to come out, and it's Bond. You can't. It's win-win. It's a perfect win for this situation if you actually think about it.
I think just from what I've seen in the trailer, I actually think this is it's a grittier take because they show the trailer and then the car with the gun, but it's just the delivery of the line. I'm like, I've never lied to you. I'm like, we all have our secrets. We just haven't gone to yours yet. I mean, the delivery of that, the intensity. Sure. This movie is going to be really intense. Like I've told a couple of my colleagues at work and who are big Bond fans, I think the girl is dying right off the bat. I mean, the trailer doesn't show you specifically how far into the movie we are. We could be maybe like that could maybe be the first opening sequence, and we're 5 minutes in, and it looks like and he ends up seeing her again. But I think when we come to an hour or definitely before the movie ends, the love interest is gonna die, and I think they're doing a little take on that on Her Majesty's Secret Service. So I've predicted this. I think she's dying. I think she's dying early on, and that leads him to travel overseas to deal with Rami Malek's villain, who looks like this very vindictive, very Javier Bardem like from Skyfall, but he had a different take on it, and he was fantastic. But and then getting Blofeld back, like I said, I'm just interested in how they're going to set this up. And as soon as this movie's released, like at any point when the movie's released, then they're going to announce who the new Bond is.
That would be pretty cool to actually do it that way. That's actually smart to do it that way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I read something that said that they're waiting because if they announce it now, then nobody's gonna they're gonna lose the effect of what this movie's gonna do. And obviously, I mean, just the stunts I've seen from this, like the latest trailer, like a car's chasing him down in a forest, car flips right by his feet, or he dodges the car right when it flips. I mean, it's just they're going all out with this, and they need to.
They do. They really do. This is Daniel Craig's Logan, if you actually think about it.
Yeah.
So this is actually going to be fantastic. I can't wait. This thing's going to be intense. This thing is going to be dark. This thing is actually going to have everything that we wanted in a spy thriller movie. So I can't wait to actually see it. So what else do we have?
The next one is another delay. It's Edgar Wright's movie called The Last Night in Soho. It was pushed back to late October. This was supposed to come out April 23rd, 2021, and this movie stars Anya Taylor-Joy. It's supposed to be out on Friday, October 22nd of 2021. I'm trying to read it's Thomas and Harcourt Mackenzie as Eloise, Anna Taylor-Joy, and Matt Smith. Not really sure what this movie is, but Edgar Wright calls it a psychological horror thriller in the realm of Don't Look Now and Roman Polanski's Repulsion. Again, I'm not 100% sure with this, but it's another big movie that a lot of people have been looking forward to by Edgar Wright. So again, I'm not 100% sure exactly what this is. Then again, there's not much details from this, but that movie, another delay.
Right. I don't know the details either, but the whole fact it's an Edgar Wright film has me intrigued because I love Edgar Wright when it comes down to his stuff, especially Baby Driver. So Last Night in Soho, I'm actually... What? You're disappointed in that movie? That movie is great.
I was expecting a lot more. The trailer for me got me hooked, and I watched the movie, and I was like, oh. I mean, I was a little expecting a lot more. The trailer got me hyped, and then then again, I wasn't a huge Scott Pilgrim fan either.
I went in. Oh, okay. I got you on that one. For me, I mean, yeah, I'm not the biggest Scott Pilgrim fan. If you actually think about it, I like the movie, yeah, and I watch it and everything on Netflix because I actually want to revisit it and see how much the actors have changed since Scott Pilgrim. And really, if you actually look at Scott Pilgrim, Scott is just a dick. If you actually think about it, he's just a douchebag through the whole film. Perfect for Michael Cera. Right, and but I love Edgar Wright when it comes down to his body of work. I like his style and originality behind stuff. Last Night in Soho is actually one of my top anticipated films because I'm curious about what it's going to be because they're not giving much of a plot point on it.
I love this Cornetto trilogy though with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. What he did with those movies, those were entertaining. I mean, Hot Fuzz was my favorite out of all of them because it was just pretty much the trope making fun of the action movies, and like and then of course them watching all the two characters, like Nick Frost's character, a fascinating of action movies. So it is that was like then again the whole trilogy just was perfect for them. So I think he's got a lot of hits that I liked, and then he's got some disappointments that are just
I gotcha.
A bummer. Yeah.
I got.
The next big set was the Alan Tudyk's character from Rogue One. He was K2 S0 and Andor, in Rogue One. He's not supposed to show up in season 1 of the Star Wars Andor Disney Plus series, but he definitely plans on showing up later down the road. He's like Tudyk says they're shooting it right now. I'm not in it, but if it stays on the air, stories keep getting told, I'll end up there. He's like, I'm going to be in the show. It's just that the story that Tony Gilroy is telling doesn't involve K2S0 until later on. I can't be too specific, but I can definitely say that I'm not going to be in the first season.
Okay. Which is understandable. I mean, if you actually think about
Yeah.
it, though, it's all about placement of the characters and the universe that you're
Mhm.
trying to create around those characters. And if that character doesn't fit in with the universe that you're trying to create, you can always go on ahead, especially with a TV show, add him in later on and see where you're at with your characters and seeing how they develop. And maybe there might be actually a chance to actually put that character into that universe. Right now, it's okay. Just go ahead, make the first season the way that you need to make the first season, develop your characters, and bring him into the second season. Everybody's like, well, this is a big mistake. I'm not even interested in it now because he's not going to be in it. And this is me. I always think from a logical standpoint and everything too. I'm a fan, but at the same time, I also have to think of it from a business standpoint or a director standpoint. Because here's the thing. The job of the director is to make the best possible movie or TV show for the universe that you're trying to create. And that's the bottom line. And if those characters do not belong in the world and the universe that you're trying to create, either you have to get rid of that character or you bring them in at a later on. And there's such thing as building hype for that, though. You can build your hype around setting him up for next season to where everybody would actually be excited to see him again.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to rush a character in and then have everybody complain, and then we're back to like, oh, well, we got you what you wanted, and it failed, so that's on you.
Right.
Yeah. But before we touch the Christopher Nolan, I want to go back to Morbius. I'm excited for it. And one thing is, the other reason I'm excited is because if this does well and Marvel gets its hands on it, Blade could be involved. And Morbius and Blade, that'd be kind of an interesting dynamic.
That would be interesting. Would be interesting to right.
Yeah. Because I just thought vampires, he's a vampire hunter, and Blade is that, and maybe something happened, like Morbius does something that leads to him being the big villain that Blade has to fight. I mean, that could be, I don't know if it's happened in the comics, but I think this could be, it could be if it does well, and I'm hoping too, because it looks intriguing. And obviously, if you can get Michael Caine, who I'm suspecting it's Vulture, and his character Vulture is in Morbius, he's talking about Spider-Man, I got a feeling that they're going to be able to maneuver it to get Blade involved, which that's my 2 cents. I just want to add that in, but I think that make that movie more intriguing if they got some reference to Blade.
My question is this. Let's say, for instance, for example, that they bring Vulture in. Now, who would actually be the main villain? Because it could be one or two things. Number one, Blade could actually see the side of Morbius and be like, okay, I'm going to show mercy on you, even though he doesn't show mercy on to any vampires. But Morbius, depending on how they actually do it, it could actually be where he's like doing anything he can to actually be human again. But the mutation is actually taking over him to the point where it's making him even more berserk, more crazy and everything. So it's like, who do I go after here? Do I go after Vulture or do I go after him? So it gives choices as to who you would actually go after and which one you can actually justify a little bit more than the other as well.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Well, you had my wheels turning, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I just thought of it just now, like, wait a minute, Morbius, vampire. I'm like, oh, Blade, because Blade's in the Marvel Universe now.
You can go a different route, though, too. Bounty hunting as well, bringing him down.
Yeah.
So there's an X amount of stuff that you can do with it.
Exactly. But, again, I just want Blade. Just give me some sort of any trailers, any images, any confirmation that Wesley Snipes is going to be involved in this movie.
Right. That makes me a whole lot happier, though, that Wesley is involved, which makes me think that I'm hoping that he'll be playing Whistler. Huh?
I hope he is. This is just wishful thinking. Wesley was just on Twitter tweeting out at him, I'll always be Blade, images of that. I didn't want to hear from Kevin Feige or any confirmation that Wesley will be involved in this movie. It's just, we want to know. Because he's the one and only Blade so far.
Exactly. Oh, Rossi. Hey, Rossi, thank you for joining us. I do appreciate you tuning in. She's actually the
Nice. All right.
independent actress. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Welcome to the show. All right. The next big topic is Christopher Nolan no longer open to working with Warner Brothers. A big part of the show. So, and this has probably been brewing for a couple months now. Following Warner Media's HBO Max 2021 announcement, longtime Warner Brothers Pictures collaborator Christopher Nolan was one of many filmmakers who voiced their opinions against the studio's game-changing decision. Because of this, many are wondering if Warner's simultaneous theatrical and HBO Max release strategy might have brought more harm to the studio than they originally intended. That's too early to tell. According to a new report by the Wall Street Journal, Nolan is reported no longer open to working with the studio again, as he's deeply disappointed with the company's decision of sacrificing the movie-going experience. Should this indeed be Nolan's current plan, then last year's sci-fi thriller Tenet would probably be his last Warner Brothers movie project after 18 years of collaborating together.
So my initial thoughts is this. Okay, we already knew that he didn't like the fact that they were doing Dune at the same time as HBO Max and not releasing it into the theaters. We already knew that. Mm-hmm. And then like I said, it's all about being scared of something that you cannot see. It's all about the fact that the old way of doing things is now going to be obsolete to him. And therefore, we have to go with HBO Max streaming service to actually release newer movies, newer blockbusters onto HBO Max for 30 days. And he feels like that his art is actually going to be teared to shreds because it's actually going into a smaller screen rather than a larger screen to where we can actually get that $1 billion draw in for the box office. And like I said before, if you guys are actually just tuning in to the show and everything, I also said this. Christopher Nolan's a household name when it comes down to Warner Brothers. They know that they can make X amount of money on him. And they have complete trust in Christopher Nolan to do the best damn job that he can possibly do. But Christopher Nolan's actually scared of the unknown because he doesn't know if they can actually make their money back or not either. Because, movie theaters make their money pretty much.
Yeah.
It's actually what helps the box office draw. And, I actually feel like this. You can actually have it both ways. It can work both ways. You can go ahead, have it released into the theaters, and then also, too, you can go on ahead and release it on HBO Max streaming service. And I know I'm repeating myself a little bit, but if you guys are tuning in, I want to just update some of the things I've said. But, I just feel like people who are actually supportive of movies will actually go out and support a movie, regardless of the fact that it's gotten released onto a smaller screen. We already seen that with Wonder Woman 1984. So why not with Dune? Why not with other films and everything? It could work the same way. It's like, hey, look, I'm going to go on ahead and watch this in theaters, and I'll come back and watch this at home. So it could be working on both ends of the spectrum. So what are your thoughts about Christopher Nolan?
I see his point. I think he's more mad at the fact that Warner Brothers did the decision without really telling their filmmakers. They're really technically employees of Warner Brothers, so you'd expect communication. Warner Brothers just did it. They didn't tell anybody that they were going to do it this way. And I think from Nolan's perspective, he has every right to be mad in the sense that maybe he's mad because Warner Brothers didn't tell him they were doing this. And yeah, I feel for him about the movie-going experience. I would have liked to see Tenet in theaters. But what Warner Brothers fought is the side their side of it is thinking maybe they're planning because look what's happening now. Look what all the movies that have been we just announced today that have been delayed because of the pandemic, because they don't have that security blanket of a streaming service to be able to get their movies out, so they have to delay the inevitable. I'm like, all right, we just got to rip the Band-Aid off. We gotta delay it, even though it's not really what everybody wants. So I see both sides. I see the reason he's mad because they didn't tell him they were doing it, and it's also kind of loosening the effect of the theater experience. But it's not really Warner Brothers' fault, and it's not Nolan's fault that the theaters are closed. It's a pandemic. No. Nobody can control this. And if theaters aren't open, they can't show their movies, and they can't make the money from the theaters. And if theaters are actually hurting themselves by staying open. The longer they stay open, the less money they're actually making during this pandemic. So that's why Regal came out and said we're closing all this. Like, we're going to close again until like there's there's multiple movies out that actually gets people to watch, and B, and where it makes sense. And because right now in the next couple months, it's not making any sense to open anything up. But again, I feel like I feel it's that, and I think maybe it was they've been together for 18 years, and we kind of figured something was going to separate them at this point. So I think like any other company that gets him is going to be like, they're going to like, holy crap, we got Christopher Nolan. We're going to get a guaranteed hit. And I think this is going to be. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go on ahead. Finish up. Finish what you have to say, and I'll comment.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Warner Brothers is going to end up regretting this, and at some point down the line, Nolan will be back with Warner Brothers at some capacity. I think Nolan's probably like, it's like he's like the quote, like not quote, like what's going on with football. Head coaches need a different atmosphere. They need a different environment. Maybe that so they can get try out to see what this other one's like. Maybe that's what Nolan's doing in a sense, because he's been with 18 years with Warner Brothers, and they've been hits. Well, technically, Interstellar wasn't Warner Brothers. That was Paramount.
Right. Well, let me go on ahead and say this. And it's going back to your football analogy, though, too. Yeah. He's like Tom Brady of Warner Brothers. He's actually the go-to person that you would know for a fact that you can count on to actually put out a box office hit. Right. But, I think that it wasn't fair for Warner Brothers to not tell the directors, the people that they're working for, to tell them what's going on, what's the game plan. Yeah. They could have had a sit down with all the directors and everything through a Zoom meeting if they needed to. It's like, hey, look, I know that we have a pandemic going on, but amongst the pandemic, we're going to have to release these films on a certain streaming service up until this pandemic is actually taken care of. Yeah. And look, if you guys want to opt out, you won't be in violation of your contracts. You guys can come back to us after this pandemic has actually settled down, and you guys are you're basically free agents for how many months, and you guys get to come back. Yeah.
I think and then also what they're doing now, Warner Brothers deal, is it's not permanent. This is just a temporary thing. Warner Brothers they're not getting rid of the movie-going experience. They know they need that. They're just doing it in a temporary fix and what's going on. But if Warner Brothers just had a sit down with all their employees and just told them what's going on, they would have been, I'm a little bummed. They would have been pissed off as they are now. So I think the most of the at least 60, maybe 70% of the blame is on Warner Brothers for not communicating what they're doing properly, because their head was in the game. That's how what they're thinking. They're playing the long game. But what they didn't do is they didn't think about the short game and tell their employees what they're doing, which is why there's all this backlash, and that's why they potentially lost. They just lost their top free agent. They just lost their top moneymaker because for right now. We'll see. Something could happen. They can patch things up, but until this pandemic is cleared away, I can see Nolan probably definitely going somewhere else, and they're gonna heck, Nolan could probably even do a Marvel movie now.
Right, or at this rate, I wouldn't want to see him doing a Marvel movie or anything like that, because that's not his style. No offense. I like to see him do something more original. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see him at Sony, because Sony actually needs help right now. Yeah. Even though they have Spider-Man, they're playing in the same sandbox as Spider-Man and everything else right now, they need a big major franchise, and they're thinking of stupid crap to actually do and mix the franchises together, like with 21 Jump Street, Men in Black, and all that stuff. Now you can actually get Christopher Nolan in there and actually have some creativity for a short term and make him sign a deal for maybe a year,
maybe,
and everything, and do it that way, and then go back to Warner Brothers. So that's
Paramount.
Paramount would be awesome for him.
because, like I said earlier, Interstellar was Paramount,
right?
and
I can't believe
that was
we're
a
actually
big
talking about this. Like, I can't believe we're actually talking like this, like ESPN, like trading.
Yeah,
Like, where would you actually put Nolan? Like, we're trading him off to
yeah, like,
other
yeah,
movie
like,
studios.
yeah. I mean, and now we're talking about it. Because he's the top free agent now. If he leaves Warner Brothers, he can go to anywhere he wants. But my personal gut choice is telling me I think he's going to Paramount. He's gonna do maybe a few movies with Paramount. To be honest, that's where I see that. And because Paramount's got a lot of big stuff, because they have the Paramount Plus network, which was originally CBS All Access, which is getting reverted to Paramount Plus, and that's where the SpongeBob a Sponge Out of Water movie is supposed to be, not Sponge Out of Water, Sponge on the Run is supposed to be streaming directly on Paramount Plus.
Okay. So what else we have?
We got some fan questions.
Okay.
One is so from, one of them was
from Crichton Hobbs. He wrote in.
Yes. Yeah. He says, well, you can always bring up the point about how HBO Max is not releasing the movies on the app like when they are releasing in the theater. How does that help? How does that not help? You can really like deep dive into that, or and then so that's basically just discussing about the HBO Max stuff. Is releasing the movies on the app like they are when they're releasing in theaters. I think again we kind of pointed on this earlier on. It's a win-win. If you want to see it in the theater and if you feel it's safe and you're near a theater, you can see it in the theater, then come back home and watch it on HBO Max. If you don't have theaters open, at this point, I don't see any reason why it's not helpful. I mean, I think, like I said, it's because a lot of if you have Xfinity, if you have Xfinity and you're paying for HBO, you get HBO Max already, so you're just paying for HBO, and you get everything from HBO plus everything that's on HBO Max, which is a ton of content. And again, they only came out last May, so we're about 6 months of them, and they haven't even hit their stride yet of all the stuff coming out. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff that's going to be coming to them soon. So I don't see any harm in what they're doing. I think it's a win-win. It's helping the studio. Yeah, it might be losing some directors, but there's some other big directors who are actually creating shows for HBO Max. I mean, they had that Raised by Wolves, which I'm not gonna watch. It didn't look intriguing to me, but Ridley Scott was doing that. Michael Mann's got Michael Mann's got a TV show I think called Tokyo Vice that's coming to HBO Max. Don't know when in 2020, might be 2021, but Michael Mann's a pretty big director and he knows how to shoot some scenes, and he's got a series. So again, I think it's a win-win. But that's just me.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna. We pretty much covered that part. Now I know he had a question about Justice League.
He did. He said, is where the Justice League movie, is it going to be going to be released as a 4-hour movie, or as a mini series? And can you bring up the pros and cons of that?
Okay, so I actually have some information on that. So they just confirmed it, I believe, last week, that it's no longer going to be a mini series or anything like that. They said think of it as watching a 4-hour movie. And basically, the way I see it is this: it's just like releasing The Irishman, which is like a 3-hour long movie that they released on Netflix. So basically, how I watched that movie was I watched it in I split it up into 3 hours. Like the first hour I watched it, and then the second hour I watched another thing. So I was like watching it like an episode and everything. Mm-hmm. Rossi said that she watched Raised by Wolves. It was okay. I'm actually going to be starting that series pretty soon. Frenchie and I actually did a trailer reaction video for it, and that's released. As a matter of fact, I believe that we released that today. I'm going to have to go back and double check myself on that. So
you did.
Yeah, we did a trailer reaction for that today. So I'm going to be starting that up pretty soon. Maybe we might actually do like one episode review on that. So stay tuned for that. I got a flight attendant. But yeah, like I was saying though, for the 4-hour thing, I split up The Irishman in 3 parts since it was 3 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
I can do the same thing with the Justice League movie and still feel like I watched a 4-hour film. Just think of it as like an intermission, like you would go to a play and everything. To be honest with you, I'll probably won't even pause it at all either, because I'm just that intrigued into the Zack Snyder's cut. I've been a big advocate for the Snyder cut. I've been doing the hashtags on Twitter. I've been doing a bunch of David Ayer, not David Ayer, but the director who actually directed Suicide Squad. I've been an advocate for him, trying to get his movie into the director's cut chair as well. And I've just been a big advocate in that community and everything on Twitter. And matter of fact, ACS Universe is actually part of that same community as well. Anthony's part of that community. But you know what? Let me just give a small shout out to the Nerd Queens, which if it wasn't for the Nerd Queens, they wouldn't have been able to do what they did. They actually got Ray Fisher on their show. Big congratulations to them a couple of months back. And they also did the DC Con, or whatever they called it. I forgot what it was actually called. But they did stuff like that, and they were able to get... No, DC Fandom is what it was called. But big shout out to the Nerd Queens. Wonder Meg was actually on my show. We did a Wonder Woman Part 1 review, and she's just awesome. If you want to check her out, she's even on YouTube as well as Wonder Meg. Check out her YouTube channel. She does pop reviews, things like that. But back to this, Justice League for me is one of those films that I was disappointed as I was leaving the movie theater. And Joss Whedon was not the right fit for this movie. It was not Zack Snyder's fault that he actually had to leave because his daughter committed suicide. And then they left Joss in charge of this movie, and it just went on. It just fell down the crap barrel and just didn't stop. They tried... Yeah, definitely. And then Batman doing comedy? No, that's not who Batman is. And yes, I am a diehard Batman fan. But
hence the shirt.
Right. But what's your thoughts on this, though, Charlie?
Like I said, like a mini series that I was like I said, it depends on how the first hour go. I'm intrigued. I'll probably continue. It depends. Like I said, if it's a kind of like long and drawn out, I'll probably break it up into pieces. I mean, movie or miniseries, I was gonna watch this anyway because anything can be better than that travesty that came out in November. And it had to come out the week after Thor Ragnarok came out. And I'm sorry, anything going up against Thor Ragnarok was going to get destroyed. And like Joss Whedon, like I said, I mean, he did a great job with the first Avengers. That was a great movie. Then it kind of like a second Avengers was kind of the same repeat of the first one. Still entertaining, but Joss Whedon definitely needed a hug after that one. And I don't know where he ended up from Age of Ultron to Justice League, because like I said, that movie was just garbage. Yeah. And I mean, like anything, like I said, I'll take a 4-hour Zack Snyder over whatever I just watched. I mean, I don't even own Justice League because that movie was garbage. This one I'm excited for. No, I mean, like I'm excited for it. I mean, I think it might be good. It's probably going to be a lot better than what we had. I mean, anything could be better than that, but it's just it doesn't matter if it's that or not. I mean, I was gonna watch this regardless, but I mean, yeah. Okay. But I mean, like I said, I'm excited to see what Zack Snyder's got in the tank for this, and hopefully, if it does well, even though he right now says, "No, I'm not really going to continue it." Warner Brothers that. If this thing is a hit that a lot of people are expecting it to be, then I could see that skyrocketing. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm rooting for it. I think it might be, I'm rooting for it, but we'll find out soon. And then, like I said, whatever the length, it doesn't matter the length of time. You could be 2 hours and it'd be great, or you can be like an hour and a half and it being terrible and want it to be over sooner. Like for The Wolf of Wall Street, that movie was 3 hours. That did not feel like 3 hours because you're so sucked into the story, and you feel like after you're done watching oh, holy crap, it's 3 hours. So it really depends on if they get their story told. Because I mean, yeah, because like I said, I think for most Bond movies, they got to be at least 2 hours. Anything less than 2 hours, because I'm most Bond movies. I mean, very rarely has there been one that's been shorter than 2 hours. Usually, if it's 2 hours or more, it's the better movie. Like, I mean, yeah, because nobody wants to pull a Quantum of Solace.
Right. Definitely not. Now. Oh, I think I hear a little bit of it.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. But no. Hold on. Dealing with some technical problems real quick. Okay. I think we got it.
Cool.
Okay, so another thing too is my friend Kidrick actually wrote in as well. And what did he write?
He asked the question is, if your life was a movie, what would it be categorized as? Action, drama, comedy, thriller, or what?
So I'm gonna let you go first. What would you categorize your life to be?
Drama. Well, I mean,
I'm gonna go. Go on.
From when I was born, and then when I was a couple months old, I had cancer, so I dealt with that, and then going through school, bullied all my life, all that kinds of stuff, and then being able to overcome that, and then pandemic and the tragic loss I just had 5 months ago. There was the son passing to my dad. Like, I mean, it's just been up, down, up, down, up, down. So mainly, I would say drama. God, I wish it was an action movie. Directed by John Woo. Because then I know, like, if I know doves, I could get my guns ready. Because that'd be kind of cool to have it to live in a John Woo movie. Just jumping in slow motion.
I see your point.
But drama.
So, let's see here. For me, it would actually be drama. And maybe a little bit of comedy mixed in with it. So, simply because of the fact with just my past life with my parents and stuff like that too, and then also too being bullied, suicide tendencies, and then also another thing as well with just some of the other rocky stuff that happened in my life that I'm not going to get into on here, but I would and then of course you can't have all drama, so of course I actually have some friends that actually have some lightheartedness to my depression, I guess, or my drama. but they're great friends and everything, so I actually have to put some comedy in there as well.
Yeah. But no, I just said drama because I've been through a lot, and it's just and then like I said, I'm just expecting like at the end of the tunnel there'd be a happy ending. And right now, like I said, I'm just ready for COVID so I can actually start going back to my happy place, and that's the theaters. But
right.
But that's pretty much good description.
Okay. My question for you though is, who would actually narrate your life?
That's a good one. No, can't be Statham, can't be Stallone. It won't make sense. Maybe The Rock.
So that's who you want?
No. Actually, if it was a comedy, I would do Ryan Reynolds narrate my life, which would be hilarious. I gotta give it to Keanu. I want Keanu Reeves to narrate my life because he'd be perfect. Keanu.
Okay.
That's my answer. Definitely gotta go with the one.
Okay, so for me, I'm gonna go Samuel L. Jackson. Because sometimes I'm thinking certain things and he goes, motherfucker, you ain't gonna do that. You're not gonna return that phone call. and then here I am just looking at my cell phone like, yeah, Samuel. I don't think I'm gonna return that phone call. I told you, motherfucker. I told you. But yeah, I could just see that. And then another one I would like to actually probably have Morgan Freeman narrate my life just for some subtlety.
Yep.
After Samuel L. Jackson just rips me a new one, I just want to have someone just to calm me down. So that would actually be more.
Until Morgan Freeman drops the MF line.
So what else do we have? I think there was like one more
somebody in the
question.
chat was wondering, they just logged on. To answer the question, we were like, somebody asked us to talk about our lives, about how we would categorize our life as if it was a movie. And we were just wondering, like, John wanted to know who would be the person that would narrate our life. I said Keanu Reeves, and John said Samuel L. Jackson and Morgan Freeman.
Thank you, Taki Chan, for coming in. But yeah, that's what we were doing. Someone asked about the narration of our lives, and also too what would our lives be categorized as: drama, comedy, action, stuff like that. So we went on with that. So that's pretty much what we did. Wasn't there like one more?
There is. And it's TV related. So is it better to keep shows going on forever or to end them after a few seasons? And it says can compare things like Family Guy, South Park, Simpsons against shows like Buffy, who were renewed for more seasons, but when Josh Whedon said no and ended it, like, is more or less better?
Okay, so my friend Rick wrote that, and I'm gonna be honest with you. When you look at Sons of Anarchy, and it's 6 seasons, I'm gonna quote what Kurt Sutter said. He said, once you go past 4 seasons, it becomes repetitive and everything. And it does. We've seen that with shows like Supernatural that just got over with. We've seen that with other shows as well that went on for a longer run. And it just becomes repetitiveness. And it's like, okay, what else do we do with these characters? Where others, we've already put them through so much stuff with their story arcs. And there's nowhere else to go with them. Do we keep going or do we stop? And that's how I feel. I feel like even with Dexter, for example, you already explored a lot of Dexter as a character, and you also explored his character arc. And then the stuff that you did towards the end of it didn't even make sense. But I'm glad they're redeeming him now. But it didn't make sense to actually make him do the things that he was doing back then. It just goes to show you that some shows are just not meant to be on for such a long period of time. My rule is this: if you're going to go 5 seasons, go 5 seasons and end it after 5 seasons. Anything longer becomes repetitive.
I think like for me, it varies. Like some shows, like I think should have ended like a long time ago. How I Met Your Mother should have ended a long time ago. That ending was garbage. That was, and I can be for another, but that one went too long. Dexter went too long. Shows that I think didn't get the chance to go longer, should have. The Sarah Connor Chronicles, the way they ended that on a cliffhanger, and they don't even finish it. Like, that show was awesome. It proves to me that Lena Headey can play a better Sarah Connor than her counterpart in Game of Thrones, Emilia Clarke, can. Like, the Sarah Connor Chronicles was awesome. It was intense. It was entertaining. I thought it was a great show that should have gone further than 2 seasons. Like, and there were some shows, like other shows, like I didn't see all Sons of Anarchy, so I know what happens, but I didn't get a chance to watch. And I think that one, it depends. If you got more story to tell, then do it. If it keeps doing no ideas, like I was disappointed how Chuck ended, and Chuck's one of my favorite shows. But I think that one should have kept going at least one more season. So I guess it just really depends on what you got. I mean, if you're like South Park, they can keep going on as long as they can, because the way they film their episodes, they do it the week of. Like, they do it like 3 days before they shoot it. That's how they stay so current. And that one, I can see that keep going. The Simpsons, I think, should have ended a long time ago, because the Simpsons didn't interest me. I enjoyed the movie, but the show I just can't get into it. I mean, Family Guy I still find is funny because it's current, and I like Seth MacFarlane. But it's like, I think it just varies from show to show. Like, some shows should have ended. Like, just recently on NBC, I watched Blind Spot. I was a huge fan of that show. Then this final season happened, and that felt kind of, it was 10 episodes, but it didn't feel right. It felt like drawn out. And the way they ended it was awful. I mean, and then again, from one of the guys in that show, Blind Spot, Sullivan Stapleton, he was in a show I liked called Strike Back. That one had 4, I think a bunch of seasons, and then they ended the show with those 2 guys. Then they rebooted it again and called it season 6. And from season 6 on, that stuff's garbage. So I guess it varies from that. I mean, if there was just those two guys, Sullivan Stapleton and Philip Winchester. Oh, by the way, if you guys have not seen Strike Back, I'd highly recommend it. If you want a great action show, like it's like one baddie for like 10 episodes, but the action sequences are like top notch. Highly recommended. If you have Cinemax, all on Cinemax, great shows. But anyway, they showed us if it was just those two guys, Philip Winchester and Sullivan Stapleton, as Damian Scott and Michael Stonebridge. If they kept doing the show with those two guys, I would have kept watching, because it depends on the characters too. If you really care about the characters, you want them to continue. So I think it varies, to be honest.
Yeah, it does vary. It does vary. Oh. Hold on. I'll try something. Let's see. How about now? How's that?
That was fine.
Okay. So yeah, it definitely does vary. Like, for example, another thing that I want to actually talk about is Seinfeld. That was a bad season. That was a bad ending to a show. 2.5 Men was bad sitcom ending to a show. The only ones I could actually say that was really good was Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, The Shield. Were the three that I can remember on hand right now. I want to watch The Wire, and I want to watch Deadwood. I want to watch some of those other shows because I haven't gotten a chance to watch them. But those are the shows that I think right now in my head that I think that ended really good. Boardwalk Empire had a good start, but finished off rough. It was like watching Godfather 3, kind of rough on that level.
I don't remember. I think good ones I remember. Can't remember top of my head. I just didn't know. I was a little disappointed with how 24 ended. I was really wanted them to continue because Kiefer Sutherland is Jack Valerie. She's just such a badass. Does whatever it takes to get the job done, and he's just a badass. That was a little disappointing, but as bad as the other endings I've seen, I think I've seen more bad endings than I have good endings, and that's unfortunate. Like Dexter was terrible, Sopranos was terrible, Chuck was disappointing, Blind Spot was terrible, ER had a great ending. I remember that show. That ending was perfect for that. That one went 15 seasons, and that one how well that show still did was that's just incredible.
All right. So, does anybody else have any questions for us or any topic discussions that you would like us to talk about and everything during this time? Because I would like to actually be more interactive with you guys. If you guys have any questions in the chat or whatever, go on ahead and feel free to ask us any questions that you might have, TV related, movie related, or anything like that. Because here's the thing, I want to try and build a community with you guys, and actually where you guys can actually be interactive, to where you guys can say, hey, look, we can actually talk to you without any judgment or anything like that, because that's what this community is about. This is what I love doing. This is what Movie Lovers Unite is all about. So if you guys have anything for us, any TV related questions, go on ahead, drop them down. We want to know. But if not, we're going to go on ahead and just end this now. Because we don't have any other topics or anything like that to go over with. So if you guys have any questions, go on ahead, tell us now, or forever hold your peace. But okay, so that's gonna be it for the show. I just want to say thank you, Charlie, for joining me for tonight's movie news. Another thing too, guys, is we're actually doing another show tomorrow night at the same time at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time, and we're actually going over our top 10 worst movies of 2008. We're actually going to have Charlie's good friend Sean on the show with us doing that. And then on Monday, I don't have anything really planned. On Tuesday, I actually have independent actress, Marine Corps, and producer, director that's actually going to be on the show and everything at the same time at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. And of course, on the 29th, I actually have Isabel's podcast with me and everything, And basically what she does is she just goes in and she just reviews different things, talks about her life and things like that. And we're going to be reviewing The Devil all the time. So we're going to do that on 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 o'clock Pacific Time. So that's what we're going to be doing.
John, I just saw something, and I think we should. It's another delay. It's a pretty big one too.
Okay.
My buddy my buddy on Facebook just showed that A Quiet Place 2 has been delayed to September.
Damn. Okay.
I just saw this an hour ago, and so yeah. Just a quick thing. Another domino has fallen in the 2021. So it was supposed to be out March 18th of last year. Then the studio pushed it to the 20th of September. It was delayed again to April of 2021, and now it's been pushed back again to September 17th. It is unclear if the horror follow-up will be forced to vacate that date as well, but again, just saw that breaking.
Okay. And you know what? I actually totally forgot about A Quiet Place 2 with Morbius, with all the other movies. I forgot about A Quiet Place 2. Quiet Place 1 was one of my favorites of that year as well.
That was intense. But yeah. I just saw that right when we're wrapping up. I'm like, yep, we got to mention it. It's a pretty big one. Okay. It's still in 2021 right now, but we'll see. But I figured mention that before we go.
All right, thanks, man. I do appreciate that. And of course, guys, if you guys want to and you guys feeling generous, you know what? Go on ahead, donate to the show if you guys want to. How do you do that? Go on ahead, click the link below. Go on ahead, go to that GoFundMe page and everything and donate maybe $5, whatever you guys want to. You guys don't have to, but if you do, go on ahead and do that. If you want to go on ahead and find any of your entertainment needs and wants, go to www.movieloversunite.com. And then, of course, Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Instagram, Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook as well. That's mainly where my go-to is. Another thing, too, is we're actually on Pinterest at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite, and we're also on Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit. And you guys can follow me there, or you guys can go on ahead and follow me on John DeGorio 8 on Twitter. And also, too, guys, go on ahead, give me that thumbs up, smash that share button. And always, until next time, guys, we'll be back tomorrow night. Don't forget, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. All right, guys, we're out of here. Have a good night, and bye-bye.
See ya.